and remind everybody about their pure potentiality. Last week we talked about how with Deepak Chopra, he has 7 spiritual laws of success. And one of the laws is about being pure potentiality, meaning that we are spirit, and being spirit self, we are connected to the field. And that field gives us abundance to whatever it is that we desire. And it is our thoughts that create that reality based upon what we're feeling and thinking. And it is when we have that conscious awareness to our spirituality instead of our ego self is when the strongest connection to that field becomes. And so that is why we have to continue to go within ourselves and let go of ego, have the strength and courage to let go of old patterns, old belief systems that allow us to take a step back and recognize that we deserve to connect to that field because we're breathing, because we are spirit, because we are having this human experience. We should have that ability to connect to that field just because we are alive. Being in the root chakra, the more confident with just staying grounded and rooted, the more we become aware of the field, because in that physical reality of putting our feet in the ground, it really sends a strength towards our spiritual body to allow us to move forward in a sense of courage to feel spirit and less ego. Because when we surrender to spirit, we have this all-knowing energy flowing through our body. And when it speaks to us, we have to have the courage and strength to realize it's speaking to us. And when we surrender and allow our worthiness to come up, then we know and recognize spirit has been talking to us the whole time. Does that make sense? So what happens is when we're in our ego self, we can't have that connection to the field in a way that gives us that communication to spirit. But when we're in spirit self, that flow is very easy. It's like picking up the cell phone and saying hello. And that is what we're trying to do, is get to spirit self always. It's about surrendering ego and allowing our spirit self to take over and drive this vehicle. Because when we're in that self, we have the ability to connect to that field and draw in whatever it is that we desire. So it's that pure potentiality. It's that limitless. It's that understanding that when we put limit on what we choose to have in our life, we then put those gates up, the blockages come up, everything comes around us because of the fact that we have put those limits on ourselves. As soon as we release those limits and we're in the field, it's pure potential. We allow spirit to pick when and how. All we need to do is take that feeling into us and say, this is what I want. This is the feeling I want to have when I'm there. And then all of a sudden that manifests towards you. For example, I desire a lake house. I really, at some point in my life, want to have a lake house. So instead of thinking about how I'm going to get the lake house or where I'm going to get the lake house or what that lake house is truly going to be, I am going to take a step back and just feel myself at the lake house. What does that feel like to me? Well, I can imagine the feeling of the sun rays on my face. I can imagine the way the breeze is blowing my hair. I can imagine myself just being grounded in that nice, calm feeling at the lake. So those feelings are what I'm bringing towards myself. So eventually, without putting any limits on it, that lake house will appear to me. It will be given to me. It will be shown its wealth. It will be there for me. And one day, I don't know when, because I'm not putting limit on it, you are going to be like, holy cow, she's got a lake house. And it'll be because I told you I'm going to have a lake house. And that is how it happens. Now, if I was ego, I would be thinking, well, I need this much money and I need this much of a down payment and I need to know how I'm going to get it and who's going to do this and where is it going to be and what's the taxes going to look like and how's that going to look for you, and that's what it's going to be like. And so it's really one of those things where once you go into ego mode, you are no longer focused on what that feeling is like. And so we take a step back and we start practicing in that field of pure potential. So the people that I have explained this to from last week, Deanna too, if you have you been feeling this field of pure potential? Have you guys been working with it? Have you been feeling it? Have you been participating in this field? Have you guys? Yeah? You want to elaborate? No? Okay.
I feel like I've been doing that. I mean, with some of the things that I want and how I want my day to feel, how I want that kind of just, yeah, just tuning into the feeling of
Yeah.
what I'm going to feel when I'm doing whatever it is that I want to do. I have a harder time with something that I haven't experienced before and not sure. So I'm trying to feel good about it, you know, in that way. But since it's something I may not have experienced before, I'm not sure I'm picturing exactly what it is that how it's going to happen. But
You're telling me you're still trying to control it by
yeah, probably.
what it's going to feel like until you're there. So instead, take a step back and be like, ask yourself, why do you want to do this? What is it that you want? And then say, is the why there? Is it driving you with some kind of feeling? If there's a feeling behind it, keep going towards the feeling, not the thought of how you're going to get to that thing.
Okay.
You're going towards the feeling of, oh my God, I love this feeling that I have when I think about myself participating in this way.
Okay. All right.
So instead of thinking about how you participate, you're participate. You're not.
Yep.
You're too detail oriented, analyzing things too much. Where instead of just being in the moment of feeling, you actually
Okay.
not know what it feels like. You know, to really know what it feels like to own a lake house, I'm never going to know that feeling until I actually hit that lake house. It's always going to,
Right.
but if I keep it as just a dream, oh, it's just a dream of my lake house. About this lake house. How is it ever going to be real? I got to.
So it's a matter of just feeling how you're going to feel, how I'm going to feel when I'm doing or being wherever it is I want to be or doing whatever I want to do.
Yes,
Just stick with the feeling. Just, and okay.
your heart chakra is the electromagnetic current that actually touches the field. If you go to the Heart Math Institute, right, you'll see that what that is, the program is designed with the heart connected to the electromagnetic field so that you can really be able to create whatever it is that you want. So the first step is connection to the field. And that connection is from feeling your heart. Does it burst? Does it want to feel like you just want to burst open because it's so exciting to you? And it's like scary, but it's exciting. So we want to go from that fear and exciting is the same feeling. Remember that. So we want to go towards excitement about it. This is exciting to me. I feel love about it and gratitude for it because feeling. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
as you start to think about the how, the when, the why, take a step back. You're now
Okay.
trying to help ego comfort ego. And that's not what's necessary.
And for some things I can do that, but there's other things I have a harder time.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure like right now, your power being out, you not having any electricity. I'm sure you right now are focused so instead of how it's going to feel like to have a nice hot shower at your house. Right?
Yeah.
That feeling, like, right? So
Yeah, I'm too much in the head about, okay, what's next? What do I need to do? What do I need to remember? Okay, I got to remember, I can't do that. I have, or whatever. Yeah.
So the universe is saying, okay, Darby, you're saying that you're working on pure potentiality. So let's see how it works.
Let's work it.
So now, let's collective consciousness. Let's everybody feel what it's like to have power. People that have power, we're going to just enjoy this moment of gratitude that we have power and send that feeling to the people that don't have power at this very moment. And let's just allow that feeling to happen without any expectation. All right. So we're going to do that for just a moment. Let's just connect to like how much I'm enjoying to have this power in the house right now. Take that moment, kind of feel it, use it, and if your brain starts asking when, say that doesn't matter. Good. Good. All right. Open your eyes. Good. So the more that we're doing, like every once in a while, the people that have power, or even you, Darby, who has power at Synergy right now, I want you to really start. God, I just love these lights. I love these lights. I have so much gratitude for this light. I have so much gratitude for my. Now we're feeling. Now I'm feeling. Right now, you're connected to the field. That is the feeling of the field. That is where we are. All right. So anybody else want to share any questions, comments? All right, cool. All right, Darby, I'm going to mute you so that we can.
I can hear you.
I'm going to mute you until we have more conversation, right? Just got synergy. All right, so the next thing that I want to talk about in Deepak's 7 laws to spiritual success is his law of giving. Now, this is going to be really interesting, really awesome, and I think it's fantastic for the group that I have right now. So I just have so much gratitude that you guys are here right now to hear this, because I think it's super important to just take this a step further. So the universe, as we know, operates on a dynamic change. Nothing is static. So your body dynamic and the constant change with the universe is always happening. So there's always a constant flow. I talk a lot about flow and all the things that we're doing. It's always about this flow. It's like your mind is initiating with the universe, and then there's this flow that interacts with all the elements and forces. And so you got to understand that this flow is connecting constantly with the field. I've talked a lot about this field, this energetic matrix. It's almost like a spider web of connection to everything and everyone. And it's all that we have to do is be aware of it and start realizing how to use it to bring that success towards us. And so one of the laws is about this giving. And it's about this harmonious flow of the give and the receive. And it operates in the world where when this isn't in sync, energy becomes stagnant. So we got to understand about the flow and about how it's stagnant. And so we have to think about energy and how something can get stagnant. A lot of times stagnation happens from ourselves. We stop the flow. We stop that connection. We stop ourselves from feeling that, from feeling some way within ourselves that's been triggered, from some kind of belief system within ourselves that causes the energy to stop moving as freely and as fluidly as it possibly can. And so if you think of the word affluent, the word affluent is to move freely. It's about moving freely. But it's also obviously about abundance and having a lot. But also currency. They use the word currency, but it's also about the current. It's about the flow. And so if we would use money and think of it as energy instead of actual physical paper, think of money and abundance as actual like energy, right? And so if we have this energy here and it's in my hand and I hoard it and I take it and I put it in my pocket and I never spend it, where is that energy going? It's going nowhere. It's getting stagnant. So now I'm holding on to this money. I'm holding on to it. I'm hoarding the money and I'm afraid to spend it. I'm afraid to move the money. I'm afraid to take the money away. I'm afraid that if I let go of this money, this will be the last money that I have. And so what happens is we take that mindset of money and we keep it in the stagnant place. This is as far as I'm willing to go with the flow. So, okay, so if your belief system is I'm only allowed to make $40,000 and that is my flow, and then it gets boom, it gets stagnant. Maybe it's $140,000. Maybe it's $1.5 million. It really doesn't matter because it's energy, right? It's energy, just like that thought in your head about gratitude for the lights. That is energy. I am so grateful that I have light right now. And I'm sending that to you guys that have no power right now. But at the same time, I'm trying to make a point here. The idea is that the flow, we need to have this flow happen. And if we start looking at money as a flow instead of feeling as it's like stagnant, we'll have more of it. Because when you're spending it, you're receiving something for that spending of the money. So that energy is still flowing. I'm giving and I'm receiving. So that flow is happening. But if all of a sudden you stop the flow from happening for some reason, some lack, some thought of lack, some worry about lack, some story about some person having lack that then just entered into your mind that caused you to feel like you're going to have lack as well. So now all of a sudden, it's no longer about your flow, it's about your lack. So now it's not about money energy, it's about lack of money energy. So what do you think ebbs and flows in that? It's no longer abundance, it's lack of abundance. So now you're telling the universe what you want because once again, it's an ebb and flow. So it's so important to understand what your intention is when we're going about and talking about this ebb and flow. Because intention is your powerhouse. If you want to heal somebody, if you want to take something or make something or create something, it all starts with intention. It all comes from intention. It can be good intention, it could be bad intention, but what your description or your vocabulary of what good and bad is different than mine. But the whole idea comes down to intention. What are you intending to do with the flow? Is it something where this is a nice flowing current, or is this a jagged kind of a place to be? So we should be always in this mind to create happiness as the giver, and then as also as the receiver to receive the happiness. It's the life supporting and life sustaining, generating increases as we continue this idea of happiness. I'm going to give happiness and I'm going to receive happiness. I'm going to give love and I'm going to receive love. I'm going to give gratitude and I'm going to receive gratitude. And that's the intention. The intention is I am giving for gratitude and love. I'm giving to you because I love you and I want to give because I have love for you. And then you're going to receive that love. And then what's going to happen? So here's the big kick in the butt here. Here's where we have to really take a step back with this law of giving and receiving. There are a couple things that we have to really take into consideration. Our giving intentions and our receiving intentions. So these are two things that we have to really begin to take a step back and recognize. Because sometimes when we're giving, do we have the correct intention for that giving? Are we giving for self-sacrifice? It's to give with no intention other just to give. Are we giving to think of the receiving end of things? I'm giving to you with that expectation of receiving something back. For example, somebody who sends out a thank you card, and you send out a thank you card and with the intention of hoping to get a call back saying, oh, I received your thank you card, thank you. Now, if that person doesn't receive the thank you back from that thank you card, that person gets angry, right? Because he didn't really get that thank you back. Does that make sense? I know I kind of said that kind of funky, but at the same time, it's like, I know that happens a lot where people get upset. Like, I sent that thank you card, and can you believe they still haven't responded back to me yet? I know that happened a lot when I got married. When I got married, like I had to get those thank you cards out right away. Those things were like so important to get those thank you cards out. And it wasn't about the gratitude, because I didn't even know who I was thanking at that time, because I was pretty new to the family. But I had to get that thank you card out. And it was just like, but when you really take a step back and really think about giving and receiving, was that really authentic when I did that? And that makes me kind of feel bad, because now that I kind of know some of those people, I'm like, I probably could have put a little bit more thought into it if I actually knew who that was and what that was all about. You know, but like, it's just become so robotic, the way that we're being taught giving and receiving, that sometimes we think that we're doing a nice thing by butting our nose into our family stuff or giving, like, because we think that that's what they need at that time, you know, but maybe that's not really what they need at that time, but we think that's what they need. And it's really about ourselves feeling better because, oh, I just gave that to them, you know? And so it's a really hard thing to do when we step back and we think about all the things we've given to people and how our intentions were with giving. Were they the purest intentions when we gave? And did we think that at the time we were giving good intentions, but now that we look back on it, maybe it was really about the good, I did that for myself kind of thing. Can you guys think of times when you've given because it was about you and not for that person? Yeah.
Can it be both?
What does that mean? What do you mean?
Because I think of times where I've done something for somebody, and because I've wanted to do it for them, but then it makes me feel good that I did do something for them, maybe my intention wasn't for me necessarily for me to feel good. My intention was to do and help somebody, but the byproduct was me feeling good.
Okay, no. So the thing is you're gonna feel good when you give something, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing it out of self-sacrifice, like you're doing it just because you want to do that, like you're being called to do that, and it just felt so good to just listen to that calling, give that little whatever. But then there's a whole other thing where it's like, I know that person's having a bad day and they really wanted those AirPods, and I am just going to give them those AirPods because I know that that's going to make them so happy, and it's going to make me happy that I made them happy. And it's really because you're feeling sad right now and you want to make yourself happy, so you're going to give it to somebody else to make yourself happy. Do you understand how that happens? Because that happens sometimes to people where we're so sad inside that it's like, oh, I'm going to make that person happy over there because that's going to make me happy. Now, was that really about that person, or was it just to make yourself happy? Right? Make yourself happy. Yeah, exactly. There's a difference there, isn't it? Beth, you want to talk about the difference? Kind of tell me how you feel?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I have over time. I used to do a lot more of that kind of giving because you want to give, but you are doing to some degree to make yourself feel better because look at what I did for making them smile or making them happy or whatever. So it's kind of like I was getting something, and I've learned now over time, listening to some pretty awesome people that have taught me some things, that doing it just because and doing things just because with no additions, strings, or anything attached is actually a way better. It's a different kind of giving that I don't get anything out of. So it's a pure sense of giving. Am I making sense?
Yeah. Wasn't those water bottles at the elementary school one of those times where you donated just because it was just like out of your own heart?
And that was one of those moments where I had no thought that would ever could even come true. I was just like, why not?
And tell the group what happened.
So back around Christmas time, before Christmas time last year, my company ran a thing where you could ask for wishes. You could, if you earn the ability to ask for wishes by doing certain things over the holiday time. And if you earn something, you were able to create a wish, which I did. And there were thousands of us that earned these ability for wishes. And then they had this one night where they released, and they just kind of announced who all the different winners were. And what I put in for, which I never even thought it was in the realm of possibility, was to ask for water bottles to be donated to my grandson's school. And you see, even now it makes me a little, because I was like, I had no, it was no thoughts of even happening. And we were like one of the first wishes that they granted. Like, I was literally setting up my computer and I heard my name and I was like, what is that? And they donated 900 water bottles to Orchard Hill School, to all the kids, all the staff, everybody got one. So it's pretty cool.
And that is connecting to the field right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the joy that comes from you is just that's so pure.
Yeah.
Step back though, when you said that, you were like, wait, but I didn't think it was in the realm of possibility that they would.
I've learned since then.
You wrote it down. There was a possibility right then and there when you put it in the field.
Right, exactly. I've grown a little bit since then. But yes, exactly. That was, and now I like the ideas of, I actually have to now be somewhat cautious of what I think and what I feel.
Let's talk about that.
when you connect to those manifestations, dang, it's like you and your flipping Blizzard not wanting to go to New York to a baby shower. It was.
I remember that.
I do. And then when you said something about the truck, I was like, okay, I gotta watch like what I say and what I feel, because when you connect, holy cow.
I'll tell you, you guys know I have that project going on with the mat, right? So we actually are doing the manufacturing of it. And this has been a hell of a process. It's not cheap. I'm worried about like messing up and process. It was taking us like 10 minutes worth of mat to assemble it. I'm like, this is not going to work financially. I'm like, I was getting crazy with it. Really stressed out about it. Like, how are we going to do this? And that is not going to work. Right? Just relax, walk away from it for a while. Solution will come. Today I sat it down. I don't know where it came from, but now I can put together by myself each hat. So it just it just dawned on me how to do it. You know what I mean? And that's kind of stuff that's been happening quite often. Is you just put it out there and you're asking, and it's just the answer just appears. And it's believing that if you are asking for it, you will get it. If you put it out there and without the belief that you get the answer, you know what I mean? You may not. But it's been cool. Des and I've been having a lot of talks about what she's talking to you guys about, and it's very real. And with the whole giving and receiving, the sister-in-law. Christmas, where she gives a gift, she marks down what she spent. When she receives a gift, she looks online to find out how much somebody spent on her, so she knows how much the next time for them. So I got into a conversation with her one year, and I said, "Here, we're going to solve gift giving forever. I'm going to hand you $50, give me back $50. We're even for the rest of your life." Because there was no thought, there was no any gesture except for the dollar amount of that gift. How much value of a gift is somebody worth giving? And that's what a lot of the gift giving, the holidays and stuff, and that's kind of what the problem is what people have when it comes to giving and receiving, is we think a lot about gift giving. A lot of times it's just about giving and receiving love, giving and receiving positive gestures, giving and receiving just a helping hand. And I think a lot of people just need to recognize that more, and that's how we stay connected as people, is by giving and receiving.
Well, and I think too that we mask giving to give to others when we're really doing it for ourselves.
That's exactly what we're talking about.
100%.
But that's what I'm saying. I mean, I think that's exactly what there's a mask of saying I'm doing this because but I'm not doing it because I'm being pure and want to give. And I think there's, having been on both sides, and I always thought of myself as a very generous person and kind person, but then I realized that there really was some level of what I was gaining from it versus just giving because it is.
But it should make you feel good.
Yeah.
That's you need to have that feeling of I just did a good thing, but I'm not sitting and waiting for them around to give back something in return.
So I have a quote that Georgie said: "By giving is to receive, but to receive is to accept, not get." Yep. By giving is to receive, but to receive is to accept, not to get. Because you got to understand, when you're giving, you are receiving. That's the best part. You're receiving that feeling like Debbie's talking about. You're receiving that sensation inside of just that genuine gratitude and love. And I just wanted to share that gratitude and love by giving, and it's nothing that you're doing to get in return. It isn't about that feeling of, about this is, I want to do that because, they're trying to get something, they're gaining something from themselves from doing it, and I, like you said, Beth, there's a lot of people there that do that. But then there's the other part that I want to talk about this, and this is why I think that this is so important with the sacral chakra, is it all comes back to worthiness with everybody, especially in this group, is it comes down to worthiness. Am I worthy to see spirit? Am I worthy to be psychic? Am I worthy to find love? Am I worthy to find my abundance? Am I worthy to be the most authentic person I possibly can be? Now, you get almost to at that finish line, and then you all stop. Not just you guys, but in general, everybody stops right at the finish line and says, "Ooh, am I worthy for this success?" So then everybody thinks it's their fearing of failure. But it's really, are you afraid of succeeding? Are you afraid of actually getting what you want? Did you not work hard enough? Did you not put in enough time? Did you not do enough to get that, whatever it is that you're trying to receive? And so it's like, you'll receive in life because you are getting that flow, but at what point do you stop the flow from absolutely coming directly toward you because you're not worthy to receive 100%? Does that make sense? Yes, you don't believe you're worthy to.
Because you are worthy.
Yeah, exactly. Do you believe that you're worthy? Exactly, because that is the question. That is the question. How are you with receiving?
And a lot of times what happens too in this category, and I find myself a lot, is when you surround yourself around people that are constantly judging and constantly saying things like that, you start to believe what they're saying. And you start then saying, you know what, you're right, I'm not worthy to get that. Or you know what, I haven't gone to school enough in many years to deserve that. Or how can I possibly earn that much money? That's way out of my realm, because people will stop you. And it's happened to me, and I'm sure it's happened to you guys over the years, where you think you have a great idea, you think you have a great project you want to do, or a new job venture that you want to start, and then all of a sudden people start chatting in your ear that are your closest friends, your best friends, your family members that know you best, right? So then they start getting in your ear, and now all of a sudden you don't feel you're worthy enough to go after that. And that's where it's a lot of times we have to then reassess and go right back to that heart chakra of, but this is about me. And what is it do I want? And what do I want to put out there to the universe? It's not about them. This is my life and my journey. And what is it do I truly want? And that's where you find the worthiness is in that.
So Jason and I were talking today, and he had a fantastic analogy about a backpack in life. And imagine that you are carrying around this 50-pound backpack. And yeah, 50-pound backpack, because it's a heavy backpack. You got a lot of burdens. It's a lot of giving and it's a lot of receiving. But now imagine that when you open up that backpack, how much is it somebody else's stuff that you're carrying around with you? How many other stuff that you're taking, you're receiving? Maybe you're taking it away from somebody else, that you're like blocking them from receiving. So let's say, for instance, that, you know, because you got to remember, receiving and giving is not always going to be this magical abundance, because not everybody is in this magical abundance kind of mindset that we're on. But so let's say somebody isn't in that mindset, and there's some really negative things going on around them, or maybe they're going to put themselves in a negative situation, or maybe you want to protect them from putting themselves into a negative situation. So all of a sudden you come in and block that experience for them somehow, or try to, or get yourself into it, where now you're carrying around and receiving some of their stuff because you've chosen to carry around their stuff. So this is where you really have to take a step back, and you have to find your focus, and you have to find out how much is yours and how much is somebody else's. And if you're holding on to somebody else's, do you still want it? Do you still have to carry it around with you? And when are you going to give it back if it's not? So these are the questions that I have for you right now, because think about this for a moment. When you're giving and receiving all day long, you're observing, but then you jump into ego mode. You observe, and then you jump into ego mode. And in those ego modes, there are relationships that are just, you're relating all day long. And in your decision making, sometimes you may put yourself into situations that you don't belong in. And so it's really important to recognize that, because some of that is a reflection for yourself. Why am I trying to carry around this burden? And is it because you have to suffer this much before you're allowed to receive? So now you're taking other people's stuff on, so that it adds up to your suffering, so that now you're able to go ahead and take that worthiness and say, okay, now I'm good. You know, or is it that you're just not willing to let go of control? Because it all comes down to control, because what I'm asking you to do with this give and receive is surrender to the flow. You can't force flow. You can't force a river. We want to guide it. Jason, can you talk about your river analogy?
Now so what Des is talking about, you know, we talk about the chakras, we talk about flow, we talk about energy. And when you look at a river and the river is flowing, and it's flowing very well, everything around that river, the land, the animals, everything else is flourishing. Everything else is great. The river is flowing. But then when all of a sudden you have blockage in that, you know, river, maybe one of the bends, and you have a blockage, well, all of a sudden everything down that river now is not getting the nutrients, isn't getting the water down there. So now it's not flourishing everywhere. So what happens is that blockage, you know, it just like in our chakra systems, in our energy systems, in our flow, when that's blocked, it's that heavy feeling, that gooky, that nasty feeling, you know. And going back to the backpack, you know, the heavier the backpack is, it's more those feelings that you just don't like. You're carrying along things that just doesn't feel right in your body. But then when things are flowing, when things are feeling good and you release it, all of a sudden everything's light and things start flowing very easily. And that backpack is not so heavy anymore. And what we need to do is, like Desiree started saying, is we need to assess ourselves. We need to start looking and saying to ourselves, you know, what is it that's weighing us down? What is in this backpack, and what is holding me out? Like, what is making me feel this heavy? Because a lot of times we're walking around and we have, you know, healers like Darby and you know, Desiree here, as well as Deanna, that are healers, that when you're dealing with other people's energy, a lot of times you can take that stuff on as your own. And then everybody here are parents, and we have our children, and they go through things, and all of a sudden you take that on as your own, and you want to make it so much better for them, and all that weight is now being carried around by you. But it's not yours, and it's not yours to carry. And when we can get rid of those things, and we can reassess and say, you know what, you know, in my case, Logan, Angelina, you know what, that's yours, man. I can advise you, I can give you advice, but you got to go deal with that life situation. You got to carry that. I'm not holding on to that anymore. That's yours to deal with. And then when we start doing that, we start lightening our load, guess what happens is now you have time for yourself, and you have time to actually fill that backpack with things that you want to carry around, that you actually need to survive on your journey in your life. And that river is flowing. And one of the best analogies I ever heard is a lot of times what happens is we're trying so hard, right? We're moving at such a heavy pace and we think we're accomplishing so many things, but really what are we on? We're really on a rocking horse, and we're moving so fast, but we're not going anywhere, right? So what we need to learn to do is get off that damn rocking horse and get on your feet and start walking forward, or get in that canoe and go down that river and start moving forward and start being lighter, and allow yourself to flow and not allow yourself to carry on that baggage and that extra weight, especially of others. And a lot of times it's not easy to do because we've taken it on for so long, we actually think it's ours, right? But when we actually start assessing and go, you know what? I don't need it anymore. That weight can get lifted. And your children can deal with their problems. Your spouses can deal with their problems. Your clients can deal with their problems. And then you can deal with your own. Right?
So it's some powerful stuff right there. It's powerful stuff. And that comes back to action. It's the action that we must take now. We've heard the stories, we've done the talks. It's about participating in the field. And when we participate in the field, what I'm talking about is there is a matrix that we cannot see, but we can feel it. It's this sensation that comes over you of this knowing. And the only way to get there is to surrender to the feeling of ego. That egoic identity, that egoic label, that egoic, you can't do that, you're not worthy. All of that stuff has to be surrendered, and we have to allow spirit to take over and take the world into you. And you bring it into that place where it's like you feel like surrendered, but you're also feeling coddled and comforted and feeling embraced by this knowingness that you're safe place to just allow this spirit to move through you. Whenever spirit is talking and I get this information that I pick up through the receptors, I get these goosebumps, or I get this like sensation in my gut, in my heart, and it just fills me to the brim. It just fills me, and I know what I'm doing is the right thing. And it is the right thing because it's what it is right now. And so to really start to participate in the field, there are certain things that you can do to practice this give and receive. One of those things is to start giving everywhere you come in contact with somebody. Now, you don't have to give them an actual thing. You can give them an internal thought. You know, oh, that person has the greatest hair, or like, it's just you're giving compliments within your mind or to them, to their face, but you're starting to just go through the process where it's not about the intention of receiving anything from that person. Like, I'm not trying to do something. I just want to practice just giving. I'm just flowing. I'm giving. I'm flowing. That's what we're doing. And also begin to receive the gifts of nature. When you see that sunrise or that sunset, when you see that gorgeous bird or that butterfly or that flower's vibrant colors, you take a moment and you receive that. You beautiful find gratitude. Right, yeah, like Deanna's got those beautiful clouds right above her shoulder. And it's like, we want to find gratitude for those clouds. And I'm finding gratitude for my power right now. And in that gratitude, I'm hoping it sends to Darby and her power, and Michelle and her internet and power. And so it's really just understanding about this field that's there. And also prayer. Prayer is a good one. It is a great way to show this giving and receiving. But the big thing is to make this giving and receiving become a flow for you. Try to participate in the flow. Start creating within the field. Now, there's 2 laws I've given you so far. your pure potentiality, meaning, okay, you get pure potential, but now once you've got that pure potential, be ready to receive it. Do you see how that works? You have to be comfortable with that feeling of, oh, I deserve because I'm alive and I'm breathing. And then you have to be willing to let go of that unworthiness so that you can receive the abundance back towards you, because that's the next step. So you have to realize that this is a participation in the field. It's not just I've got words on a piece of paper, now we're good. I wrote them down, now I've got it in my head. No, that doesn't work like this. We can study all day long, but until we participate, we're still on the first track. And that is so important in this game of life. It's so important. You know, we can be so caught up in reality that it takes us away from the purest intentions of just being alive and just having gratitude for this life. You
got one thing I just want to say about, I had a conversation the other day, not too long ago, with somebody about worthiness. And basically the person was saying they didn't think they were worthy enough to get a job or, to do that. It was a whole conversation. But I turned around and I was just saying, when it comes to worthy, aren't we all worthy for everything, for abundance? We all are in this together. And when you really look at it and you really sit there and you go and you really think about how special it is, the actual likelihood, okay, that you were even created is an incredible thing when you think about it. And then you think about how many billions of people that have been on this earth prior to you, how many will be after you, but yet nobody ever will have the same experiences or be made up the same way as you. And when you really think about that and you think about how unique you are, and you think about how special that is, how can you not think you are worthy for greatness? You're worthy for whatever you want in your life, right? I mean, just how special is that? And we all are that. And that's why every individual is part of this, and every individual is special. And we need to treat everybody that way. And send out, like Des is saying, that love just by noticing their beautiful hair, the beautiful eyes, or the wonderful dress they're wearing, or what a nice thing that person just said to that other person. Or all you're doing is spreading that positive. And what you put out is what you get in return. And if all you're putting out is love, then that's all you're going to see. You're not even going to be aware of anything else if that's all you're putting out there. But once you start judging and once you start thinking other things and start seeing the bad things going on, right? Because right now we're living in a crazy time. And we can focus on all that craziness, or we can focus on, this is our life. And this is my world and what I want to create and what I want to surround myself with and what I want to see and I want to hear and what I want to put out there. And it's so important more now than ever that we understand we do have that control.
And that is what it's all about, is recognizing that individuality, but also understanding that we are part of the whole. We are one individual of part of this whole amazing process, this galaxy that's right here in front of us, but we can't see it. So automatically it takes one big, gigantic faith in order for you to really begin to play in the playground of life. That's the number one part, is faith. Because we're asking you basically to take a different turn than everybody else. I'm asking you to take a different path than most people would take. And when you do that, you become the black sheep. And in our society, in our culture, being a black sheep is not acceptable. So take a moment to recognize that that is false. Those are just illusions that are just put into our mind, that we are put into this construct to think. But when Jason's talking about how wonderful and beautiful we are, why wouldn't we follow that path of love? Why wouldn't we want to go down that path and see how far we can go with it? You know, because that is what's incredible, is the magic that we have lost. Miracles used to be a common thing back in the day. And now it's like, to think that there's a miracle that can happen? Oh, that's not for me. Or that you could be a prophet? Oh, I couldn't be a prophet. You couldn't be a healer? You can't heal disease? well, I can't do that. And that is when you take a step back and you recognize exactly what Jason was saying, is how amazing you are. Like, the fact that you are in this world right here, right now is incredible. And that is where we take the gratitude and our love for that. Is really what it's all about. So you guys have any questions or comments? I want to hear anything from you guys. Anything?
I just want to say it was exactly what I wanted to hear.
I did it just for you, Beth. And Deepak, you mean like he makes it pretty.
I do appreciate that. Thank you all for coming to my little one-on-one here. I appreciate it.
The Peter Gallery for Beth.
Deanna sharing her clouds.
Yeah.
Darby sharing. We're all pretending we're at Synergy.
Right? It's fantastic. You guys.
It makes me think about the giving a little bit differently, because there are times, I mean, I don't know how many times, like at Christmas, it's like, no, I want to do gifts because that's what I want to do. I feel good when I do that, and now I'm questioning, okay, is that valid or is it not? Because it is just about me wanting to give something, not because that's what I would hear for years. I was like, no, it's Christmas. I want to give a gift. I don't care whether I get anything back. That's not important to me.
Yeah.
So, but it does make me think, was that about making me feel good about myself or not? But my intent wasn't.
But was it your tradition that you were like, you have been taught that you do on this day? And now you've been almost conditioned that, time to give. And so, oh my God, I just gave. And then it becomes confusing. I can understand, because it's that whole idea. It was, I just on yours because I've been conditioned in my mind. And Christmas is here, so now I get.
Right.
Known me for a while. Every time it comes up here, I become Scrooge.
So we're starting on roast.
I've been brainwashed that and marketed everything else.
Oh, you're breaking up.
What's that?
You're breaking up.
Okay. Well, what I was saying is that at that time of year, I feel like a lot of people it's that tradition, or that, what you do during that time of year, and you spend a ton of money, broke for the rest of the year, just to say you gave something. And that's what the marketing and everything has been about. And this is what we're saying, is like, did you just give because it's the holiday and they said to give? Or did you give because that's what it came from your heart, and that's what you
Right.
And I think we get into a lot of situations like that.
Because it wasn't about spending so much. It wasn't because it wasn't. It's because I feel good doing that, and we happen to all be together,
100%. That's all that matters.
Yeah. But it does make me really think about that giving piece of it.
Yeah. And
the receiving piece.
No, it is absolutely true, because that is the part where it's like you really have to take a step back and say, no, you decided that you were going to do this. Now, would that make you uncomfortable that you chose to do it in July instead of December?
Right.
Now it's like, ooh, that's not tradition.
No, because there's also a feeling of, yeah.
But and I'm not trying to diss your tradition either, because traditions are wonderful and good and hearty, and it's great for our souls. But it's just a matter of the giving aspect of that tradition. Right. Would it be something, or
get it together with your family because you love them and haven't seen them.
Right. Because I've also given at times that are, off, because it felt good, and it was something I wanted to do for someone.
Exactly.
But it wasn't about any certain time or any, or having to be fair about doing something for somebody and not for somebody else or whatever. It's just a matter of feeling like this is what I want to do for you.
And then,
there you go, Beth.
And honestly, the thing that I think more for you, Darby, is going to be the receiving aspect of things.
It's what?
Receive, learning to receive.
Yeah.
Bringing in that receiving piece. Without that receiving probably have a lot of right now of needing to receive. You're just handing so much out that there's nothing left for your own self.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like you're depleting yourself because you're so much energy.
Okay. I can't hear. Can't hear.
Any other questions? Any other comments? Anything else that you wanna do? You guys feel good? You feel like you're gonna ready to like hit that field now in a different way? Yeah? Hold
Yes,
on.
ma'am.
Yeah, I think you're trying to say something. I can't hear you. So hold on. Let me just unmute you. Go ahead.
I'm talking.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I want to say something. Just as an aside to add to a different level. When you're talking, by the way, there's a hummingbird right here in my flowers having a wonderful dinner. And hummingbirds are joy. So therefore joy has flown in. But what you're saying is a mantra I've used all my life in teaching and in my practice. And I picked it up over a period of time and put it together so people know me by this, but you're lovable, you're capable, you're unique, and you're divine. And if you don't believe those 4 factors, practice it, fake it till you make it, look in the mirror and talk to your eyes. And when you think you aren't worthy, look in the mirror and say, I am lovable, I am capable, I am unique, I am divine. And you cover all of the spaces that you've talked about tonight.
And it's true.
Because now you're giving yourself the gift of worthiness. And now you receive it.
It's true.
And it is true. And that is so important in this journey, is receiving as much as giving and doing it selflessly, just doing it out of the act of just because. I love it. Awesome job, guys. Fantastic work,
Thank you,
guys.
Maurice, for letting me sit in.
Thank you, guys. This was really awesome. I hope that Jason will want to come more often. Now, but yeah, we got some good work to do, and we'll keep going on this journey. All right, you guys have a good night, and we'll talk.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Wonderful. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.